Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for viewing and joining us. My name is Marissa McFarland, and I'm the Education Manager here at St. Louis Oasis. Today, I'm joined with our lovely instructor and tech volunteer, Park Smith, who's going to be talking a lot about his experience with us here at Oasis, as well as an upcoming class to share more. So Parks, to get started, let me know, what is your involvement with the Oasis? What has it looked like over the years?
I guess I started with Oasis in 2002 or 2003, and I volunteered as a tutor in my grandson's grade school. And so I was there a couple of years. And then a few years later, I got asked to be involved with the biking program and actually led the biking program for about 10 years. And while I was doing the biking program, I became a techie. I also transitioned to teaching some, especially World War II history classes. So that's what I've been doing this past year. And then Marissa and I have started, we've got a tour at the History Museum. So you can sign up for that. And we'll probably be doing that about every other month. So that's my involvement.
Yeah, a true Renaissance man, right? Pretty much touched all aspects of Oasis. So my question to you next is, what inspired you originally to join us at Oasis? And then what inspired you to continue to try out all the different arenas, I'll say, that Oasis offers?
Yeah, probably a couple things. The first thing was being asked. And the second thing is that as I volunteered as a tutor, and then when I got to be volunteer in the biking program, I was treated as a part of the team. And that meant a lot to me to be wanted in a volunteer situation. And that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing, of course, that you've worn many different hats here at Oasis, how would you say Oasis creates and fosters a sense of community among our participants?
Well, first of all, with the many hats, that's nice when you're bald. Okay? And the second thing would be caring, talking with people, and then also make them feel useful. And so the community piece is important for the volunteers.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in knowing that, your last, most recent foray into Oasis instructing was in the lifelong learning sector, right? Learning, teaching about a lot of World War II history, code breaking, things like that. And of course, all these other topics coming up as well. What about lifelong learning specifically do you think keeps people engaged and connected?
Yeah, that's an interesting question for me. What keeps me engaged is I'm curious about life. As a Vietnam era veteran, I wasn't in Vietnam, but I was on 2 World War II ships. And so that has gotten me, always had me thinking about what it was like if you were one of our soldiers in World War II. So my wife came back and actually talked with you about doing a course on Bletchley Park, and that evolved into 3 courses on Bletchley Park, and then evolved to the Night Witches class, and then to the Pegasus Bridge class, which I'll put in a plug for it. We're going to do it June 6th on D-Day here in St. Louis. So,
yeah, it's been really fun, Parks. Just I'll speak for myself on this. It's been really fun to speak with you along the way and have your passion-led programs. You'll come to me and say, I'm really interested in this. I want to talk about it. And it's like, those are my favorite kinds of classes to attend. So it's like, of course, absolutely. It's been really fun to see the interest it's garnered and how much people connect to coming to the classes and have something to share, maybe had a family member or some sort of, personal or professional connection. It's really fun to see that happen in the classroom and light bulbs go off.
Yeah, that's for me too.
Yeah, it's really fun, right? I agree. Well, we both drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that's right.
We're both big believers in Oasis.
Yeah, I probably got 3 or 4 cups. So,
So how do you think Oasis programs can encourage people to step outside of their comfort zone?
Most of the people are interested in what's going on in the outside world.
For sure. One of my favorite things about my job, my role here, is every instructor I work with is passionate about what they're teaching. So to be surrounded by people who love what they're talking about and want to share it, and especially with our audience here, I mean, Oasis participants are the best classroom, best classroom ever. Everyone comes ready to learn, interested, engaged. It's like my dream school. Like I get to learn something new every day. Excited teachers, excited participants, right? There's a magic in the classroom, I think.
I've never had any discipline problems, so yeah.
That's true. Yeah, very little behavior concerns.
Yeah, that's right, right.
So kind of going off of that, what's your favorite part about being an Oasis instructor?
I love being in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that hour and a half or 2 hours of the interaction with people and sharing, ideas. And so I guess when I look back on my life, I started out when I graduated from college. I had a degree in mathematics and then a minor in physics. And then I also went and had my education degrees. And I started out as a math and physics teacher. Okay? And so when I was with Southwestern Bell, I enjoyed the interaction with the people. And as I moved up, I was a district manager at Southwestern Bell. I ended up at an AT&T training school as an instructor for a couple years. Mm-hmm. And so then when I retired from Southwestern Bell, I had my own training company, and I had a contract with Tellabs when I went on the road. And most of you will not know what it is, but I taught on their digital cross-connect machines, which is just a big computer system, and did week courses. So training has always been, and education, a part of my life.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. So a class that you're teaching coming up here is kind of an intersection of two of your loves, right? So it's teaching and biking. So you're going to be and traveling, really. We didn't even talk about that. Of course, you love to travel. So it's exploring the South Island, right? Biking through New Zealand is your class that's coming up here in a few weeks. Tell us what people can expect. If they join the class, what can you gain? What can you learn?
I wanted to go to New Zealand. I'd been to Australia. I've learned to bicycle by myself, and I'm a sailor, and I would sail by myself if there wasn't anybody else to sail with. So I said, okay, get to New Zealand. What am I going to do? And so I love to bike. And so I booked 2 one-week bike trips. And then I booked myself into Queenstown and then Christchurch, and went to explore the South Island. So yeah.
I can't wait. I imagine there's a collection of pictures and all these things you garnered from your travels, yes?
Every place you look in New Zealand is a picture. And so have tons of pictures. And so then the question is putting those all together and trying to have people understand what New Zealand is about. And New Zealand has about 4.5 million people, which is about the size of the state of Missouri. And they're just wonderful. Plus they have a great accent.
Oh my gosh, don't they?
Yeah. And I was on the South Island, and I biked the Otega Trail, which is a rails to trails, and people all over the world know about that. Sure. And so that was one of the pieces. And then for the second week, I was on the southwest part, Milford Sound, and was on a bike, but one night we stayed on a small ship in Milford Sound.
How cool.
Yeah, and New Zealand is just so different, and you forget how far south it is and how cold it will be because it's so far south.
Yeah.
So it was a good time.
What advice would you give to someone who said, I'm interested in teaching an Oasis class?
Have a passion for something that you're going to be, and I would say passion, be really, really interested in what you're going to teach. Be knowledgeable about that, or make yourself knowledgeable about that. Like people. And I think the other thing is be somewhat technically competent, because most everything now is some sort of PowerPoint or Keynote or something, because you're bringing slides and things together.
Yeah. It's certainly not required, but being able to navigate some of the tech space is certainly helpful. That's for sure. Going back to your trip in New Zealand, I know you shared about, what inspired you to go, your love of biking and love of travel, but what inspired you to turn that experience into a class for Oasis?
Interesting, because I was interested in it.
Yeah.
It's New Zealand. People talk about Scotland, how wonderful it is, etc., and it's wonderful. I think New Zealand is just super wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not going to be biking from point A to point B, and this is what I saw. There's a few things about what I saw, but it's about just the beauty of the country and the beauty of the people. And it's an amazing country. And like I said earlier, there is a picture everywhere. I mean, if you want to start taking pictures, I probably took, 750 pictures. I did on a regular bike. And after about halfway through, I decided that maybe the second trip it would be a little easier, because I would get done earlier in the day if I had an e-bike. So I bought an e-bike, or not bike, I rented an e-bike for that. So I've got experiences on both of those. And I'm so glad I did. The last piece is I took the train, which is a pretty famous train ride from Christchurch west across New Zealand. And New Zealand is not that wide. And so we went over and back in the same day. So,
That's fun. I love that it seems to be an intersection of the landscape and the beauty of the nature, the culture, and also some of your fun travel stories and pictures and the personal experience. How fun. Yeah. Would you share or recommend to people who want to travel but feel restricted due to time or resources, or even maybe just confidence in going out there and tackling it?
Life is short. Do it.
Well said.
And if you talk about, there's ways to travel inexpensively. There's Oasis classes on travel.
There sure are.
Then Road Scholar has some classes that you're at home, but you see.
Yeah, an armchair trip.
Yeah.
If you could leave our viewers here that are joining us with one key takeaway about your class, focusing on your bike trip through New Zealand, what would it be?
I hope when people leave the class that they've had a really enjoyable hour. And I hope that it inspires them to either travel to New Zealand or read about New Zealand, or just be more aware of when you see the news, and New Zealand's if it's in the news, to be more aware of that. And so that's what I would hope. I would hope they would walk away feeling good about that they got their money's worth. How's that?
Kind of spark an interest, light a fire about New Zealand and all that's there. So, of course, our main focus was on this New Zealand class coming up, but you also have a class coming up in, I know you spoke about it in June for Pegasus Bridge.
Yes.
Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, love to. I'm really excited about the Pegasus Bridge class. I have been to Pegasus Bridge 3 times, and what Pegasus Bridge is, it happened on June 6th, shortly after midnight. The British regiment came in, they landed 3 gliders about 30 feet from the bridge, captured the bridge, and their goal was to hold the bridge until reinforcements got there, and keep the Germans from coming back across. And then the story gets quite a bit of detail. That on one end of the bridge was a cafe, and Madame Gondry and her husband lived there. And it turned out that when the Germans would come in for coffee, they, within 48 hours, would have that information back over in England. Wow. And so they actually, after the Brits captured it, then Madame Gondry came out because they didn't want to be shot. And so then they united. And then for years, and I think they still do it, that somebody from the Gondry family and somebody from John Howard and his group meet on a few minutes after midnight on D-Day and have a toast at Pegasus Bridge. And the old bridge has been moved over to a British museum right next door. And so I'm going to talk about Pegasus Bridge, give you some background on that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Should be a fun time.
I agree. Perfect. Thanks, Parks. Well, thank you so much all for joining and learning all that Parks has to share. Obviously, a Renaissance man here with Oasis does a little bit of everything. So we hope to see you soon. For those of you who are interested in taking Parks' upcoming class or any other of our other classes, visit our website. You can do a quick Google of St. Louis Oasis and it'll pop up. Visit our classes and you can filter by Parks Smith, by the class number, or even by subject. And if you would rather call in to get your registration in, you can call us at 314-862-4859, extension 24. Thanks.